Good morning, everybody. Another segment of Frankly My Dear. So yeah, man, I'm gonna dive right into it. Big fantasy football player, man. Me and my me and my closest friends, man, been playing for years. I think we about to hit the 10-year mark. I want to say somewhere around that. But man, honor they doing the fantasy football marathon, 29-hour marathon started yesterday on ESPN. So in honor of that, man, I'm gonna give 10 tips, all right, for drafting a successful fantasy football team. Okay. Now, one thing I'm not gonna say I'm some guru, but I do have multiple titles, and this has been proven. This is not just me. This is just listening to other champions as well. Other guys in the league who won. Just things I've noticed from those guys, as well as things I've noticed on from the times when I have won titles. All right, so we're gonna dive right into it. So, rule thing number one on having a successful draft and a successful fantasy football season, try to go in the first two rounds. You have to hit a home run. Okay, you have to have two guys that are going to pretty much carry most of your team. In those first two rounds, those two guys, you cannot afford for either one of those two guys to be a bust. If either one of those guys are a bust, you might be in for a long, long season. All right. So, the preferred way to go, it really depends a lot on where you're drafting at. All right. If you're in the front half, you might want to go running back. Okay. Once you get around to like pick 5 or 6, you might can go receiver. Okay. As far as first round. But I always suggest either going running back in the first two rounds, depending on who's on the board in the second, or going running back, wide receiver, or wide receiver, running back within the first two rounds, depending on how you have people ranked on your board. Okay, you could possibly also go wide receiver. It is a big drop off this year with the running backs, but running back to me is deeper than a lot of people are saying. Running back is actually kind of deep this year, but it's a sharp cutoff, put it that way. Like, I want to say after you get past maybe Devontae Freeman, it's kind of a sharp drop off after that. Not even kind of, it is a drop off. Depending on how you rate Shady, he got his suspension issues might be looming, so I don't know. But after Devontae Freeman, man, it's a big drop off. So just know if you go wide receiver, you pretty much at that point I would advise you stack up on running backs. Okay, after that point, I mean, you really only need 2 dominant wide receivers anyways, to be honest. But that's my advice. Advice number 1. Number 2, if you can, wait on a quarterback. If you're in a position, it depends on where you fall in the draft. But I would wait on a quarterback unless you are getting, if it's not Aaron Rodgers, any other quarterback, you can wait on him. That's just my opinion. Drew Brees used to be one of those guys, but, they've been running the ball more, so I don't put him there anymore. It used to be either him or Aaron Rodgers. You can't fault anybody for taking them early. Now, even with Rodgers, and his injury last year, I drafted him last year, I think in the 3rd round. Depending on where you're drafting at, you might have to take him if you're a guy who just likes having that stability, that big point maker every week at that position. Aaron Rodgers is definitely the guy most of the time. Okay, outside of A-Rod, man, I would wait on a quarterback. Quarterback is deep as hell this year. If you're in a 10-team league, you got to know the guys who you're drafting with kind of too. But if you're in the 10-team league, man, quarterback is deep. You got to look at it this way. You're going to get at least a top 10, top 12 quarterback. Now, I know in my league, some guys take 2 quarterbacks. They'll take a second quarterback before they take another position. So in that case, you might be kind of out back. If you see that starting to happen with multiple people, you might want to snatch your quarterback. But I will wait until the deeper rounds, man. No later than 10th, though. But I will wait late to draft the quarterback this year, because quarterback is so deep, and just about any quarterback, if he's at least average, can put up some decent fantasy numbers. All right, next thing, number 3, wait on the defense. You got to look at it from this perspective. If you're in a 10-team league, you're going to have a top 10 defense in the league. like period. Unless some guy drafts two defenses, which I've seen before. I've seen some guys draft three defenses, which, hey, if they do that, that means more position players for you. But I will this year. I think you can wait on a defense. I think you can wait almost until around the end of the draft to get a defense. I really do. It kind of get tricky if one guy gets like two or three defenses, because then you're looking at like maybe a team that's potentially the 12th or 13th best defense in the league. So, but you never know, man. Thing with defense, man, nobody saw the Jazz coming, last year, so things like that happen, man. One year, defense just inconsistent. One year, teams seem like they got a dominant defense. Next year, they don't. Broncos weren't all that great last year. Years before that, they were. So, just kind of got to look at the signs, man. Wait on the defense. That's advice number 3. Advice number 4, draft handcuffs. Some guys out here, got a history. Devontae Freeman, history of concussions. LaShawn McCoy, history of ankle issues. Who else we got? Le'Veon Bell, history of injuries plus the holdout. DJ, no, I'll get on that later. I was gonna say DJ, but no, they ain't got no suitable backup. It's guys out there who you might want to look at as backup to some of these guys. Rod Smith behind Zeke, even though Zeke don't get hurt a lot, but these are guys who are on teams that where their backup can not be as productive as the starter, but put up just as good production while that starter is out, and they're an asset to the team. Okay. Number 5, I would wait on the tight end if it's not Kelsey. If Kelsey's not on the board, if Gronk is not on the board, if Ertz not on the board, I would wait on tight end, man. Just wait. You can get a lot. Tight end is very deep this year. I want to say tight end like 12, 13 deep, and most guys not drafting 2 tight ends, okay? So tight end is very deep this year, man, and you might want to wait on them, Some of them got injury questions, things of that nature. Some of them getting up there in age. So it's a lot of question marks, man. To me, it's no guarantees outside of Gronk and Kelsey. And maybe it Ertz. The thing with Ertz, he's going to be sharing some of those touches now, with, what is his name, Gorder, the rookie they drafted. So really, I honestly would say if it is not Kelsey or Gronk, I will wait on a tight end. Rule number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Rule number 6. Know the rules of your league. Okay, so some league, like my league that I'm a commissioner of, we give out bonuses. We reward big plays in my league. So another league I'm in, he doesn't really reward running backs that much. It's hard. Running back points are hard to come by. But quarterbacks can rack up. So, that's the league where you can definitely, like I was saying earlier, wait on quarterbacks. So know the rules of your league, man. Know what's going on, okay? And you can't fault nobody but yourself if you don't know the rules. All right. So if it's better, rule number, where we at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Rule number 7. It's better to pass on them a year too early than a year too late. I learned this the hard way last year with Adrian Peterson. I panicked. People were taking running backs. I think I went wide receiver, something of that nature. And I took AP early, and it I still made the playoffs in that league, but it was hard trying to get somebody to replace that man, trying to make up for the production that he didn't give. Another guy who might have a bounce back season this year, I don't know. We'll see. AJ Green was another one. AJ Green produced good numbers for a receiver, but fantasy perspective, he was not a good fantasy receiver. Okay, so it's to me, it's better to pass on guys who are too. Marshawn Lynch might be one this year. Who you might want to pass on. Another one, possibly. People gonna think I'm crazy. Julio, and I think a lot of people been agreeing with me because I noticed in mocks, Julio's been on the board a lot later than he normally is. I mean, not saying I would pass on Julio, but I'm the only guy, honestly, who has shown that he can consistently be good no matter what, as far as at least somewhat productive, is Fitzgerald. Okay, but I can't see Fitzgerald being anybody's wide receiver 1. Okay, but outside of him, man, he's an anomaly. Everybody else, it's better, man. It's these guys. I'm guilty of it myself, man. Playing fantasy, you play fantasy a long time. Jimmy Graham's another one. You play fantasy a long time. You've had some of these guys on championship teams, on playoff runs, and you just think like, man, you keep thinking that they're gonna consistently bring you. You refuse to kind of let it go and know that they're gonna fall. Believe they could fall off. So just pass on them a year too early than a year too late. Rule number, where we at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Rule number 8. If the quarterback sucks, pass on the receiver. Okay? I learned this a couple years ago with AB. Even though I want to say 2 years ago, he withstood with the backup quarterback. But it was 1 year I had him and Big Ben got hurt. And I'm not going to say Big Ben sucked, but I'm saying, it really impacted AB. He still finished, I want to say, leading the league in fantasy points, but those couple of games kind of, you take your blows with things like that. Another guy, AJ, that's why I can't blame AJ completely. Andy Dalton, last year to me, Matt Ryan wasn't that good. He messed Julio up, Jameis Winston, inconsistent, got hurt. Fitzpatrick had to come in, messed Mike Evans up, So if the quarterback suck, man, or the quarterback is suspect and not considered a top tier guy, just be wary, man, of taking those receivers, man, because you gotta take into account, man. Somebody gotta get on the ball, man, and it's just not a good situation, man. Whenever you get a receiver that has an inconsistent or bad quarterback, or even a quarterback gets hurt a lot. Okay, rule number 9. We almost there. Actually, is this 9? Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, we on 9. Rule number 9. If a coach play calling suck, pass on the player. A la Marvin Lewis. Okay? A la Hugh Jackson last year with Crowell. Who knows what the hell he was doing. Okay, even I loved Todd Bowles as a coach for the Jets, but Todd Bowles is another one. When it's just a lot of guys who do. Coaches got a lot of pride, man. So some of those coaches and the thing is, this is gonna sound weird. New England, got some of these coaches who got a lot of pride. They play whoever's the hot hand. Stay away from those type coaches, stubborn coaches. The Bucks coach, he's not a good coach to me. He's already talking about starting Peyton Barber, which might hurt Ronald Jones, living in those old school ways of you got to earn your roster spot, okay? So you guys be wary of guys who either coach conservatively or guys who live by that old school mantra, not putting their best talent on the field for stubborn purposes, all right? And the last thing, number 10, take a gamble on a rookie running back or quarterback. Last year, it was several rookies who lit it up, okay, like Deshaun before he got hurt, Kamara, of course, Hunt, of course, even tight end Evan Ingram. Like, it was a lot of guys out there, man, so take those risks on at least one rookie, man. It's always going to be at least one rookie running back who goes off, okay? It's always going to be at least one decent rookie quarterback who goes off, okay? And sometimes you get a receiver. Receiver kind of hard to transition unless the guy's like top tier, elite coming in. But usually it takes them at least a year or two before a receiver really gets going. But anybody else, man, gamble on a rookie running back or gamble on a rookie quarterback, they could win your league. Anyways, man, I hope these tips were helpful. Y'all let me know what you all think. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, comment. I'll be coming with more fantasy football videos throughout the year. Things dealing with football in general, man. Football season almost upon us. Please, please, please hit the like button. That's how we get more views on this video. Please, please, please hit the subscribe button and let all of your friends know, man. Share this. Y'all have a productive day. 1.